a little serious, a little silly. A perfect balance to start your day. Family Life Mornings.
Well, you know, when a package goes missing from the front step, we immediately think porch pirates, but it's kind of a good thing that this porch pirate made off with this box. It was taken from the front step of a home in North Carolina. Jeff had hoped to pass on what was inside to the people in his church. You see, he's the pastor there, so he's praying for the thief who made off with $1,000 worth of study Bibles. You gotta hope they open the box and open just one Bible, right?
If you can't say it in front of your kids, you won't hear it on Family Life Mornings.
You guys remember the story last week about in North Carolina, the people who thought there was a burglar in the house.
Right.
It was past midnight. They kept on hearing a bump, bump, and they called 911, and the cops came, and they found out it was the robotic vacuum cleaner. Right. And that was the, ha, ha, ha. But I'd forgotten some important details, and I want to apologize for that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they got there, the police, and they found the robotic vacuum cleaner, and they asked the robotic vacuum cleaner, they said,
You're
don't you
making
know
this
it's
up now.
illegal to break into a house? And the robotic vacuum cleaner said, no, I never heard of such a thing. And they go, what, have you living your whole life in a vacuum? That was one of the things they mentioned.
I'm not even doing a fake laugh.
Wait a minute, hold on a second.
Worth it.
Might need another apology letter. For
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. But then they asked him some more things. I guess it was him. And they said, well, okay, we're going to let you go. Because they checked his record.
Oh, boy.
And it was... And it was clean. It was clean. So, again, I apologize for a lot of things now.
They don't need a request to be your friend. They already are. Steve, Terese, and Randy on Family Life. A friend you can turn to.
Would you be a good royal parent? There's a lot of rules to follow, a lot of do's and don'ts and traditions, as you might imagine. And I was just looking at the list. I'm not going to go over the whole list because that would take like all day, but there are some that I could do. One of the things a royal parent is to do is to announce their children. We should be able to do that. We're announcers. Like, hey, here's Laura and Will. Actually, when they're born, you have to actually make a formal announcement, that kind of thing. Verbal announcement, that kind of thing. But here's something I don't think I could do. The baby food has to be homemade. Homemade baby food.
You don't make it yourself. You have like a staff.
Oh, okay, I could do that then.
Right.
Here's the one thing that I know I could be a great royal parent. The one thing for sure, and I kind of laughed at, they're not allowed to play Monopoly.
Really?
There's too many arguments.
I love Monopoly.
I don't like Monopoly at all. I'd be a great royal parent.
Are you just starting your day? Well, so are we. It's Steve, Terese, and Randy on Family Life Mornings.
I didn't know you could do this. Maybe you guys did. But Christmas wrapping paper, once it's been ripped off the presents and stuff,
right,
a lot of it can be recycled.
Yeah.
I never knew that. But not all of it can be recycled, and there is a test that you use to figure out if it can be recycled or not.
Okay.
You simply wad it up in a ball in your hand.
Yeah.
And no, you don't throw it at anybody.
Oh.
You just let it go.
Oh.
And if the paper kind of starts to spread out a little bit, can't recycle it. But if it stays wadded up, more than likely it is recyclable. So that's kind of an interesting thing to know. However, if it's covered in glitter,
Not recyclable.
Can't do it.
Right. Well, it kind of is what Steve and I were thinking, because if the paper holds its shape long enough for you to hurl it across the room and hit somebody in the head,
That's your co-host?
it is recyclable. So that's kind of a good test.
Going to be a great game.
We hope the rest of your day is just as much fun as this.
Family Life Mornings with Steve, Terese, and Randy.
Do you have any idea how much Mr. Rogers weighed?
I'd never thought about it. He
know,
seemed
right?
like, can I just guess?
He looked like a fairly slim guy.
Yes, right. I'm
Yeah,
going
yeah.
like 155. I don't know.
Okay,
Throwing
you're
out.
in
I
the
don't know
ballpark.
how tall he was. I don't even know how tall
I don't know, but it's
anyway.
pretty significant.
Okay.
He weighed 143 pounds.
Wow, okay.
Okay, always 143 pounds.
Well, not
And
at
he would get
birth.
on. Well,
Not
I mean,
always.
but in his adult life.
Okay,
and
good,
when you hear
okay,
why,
good.
you'll understand. He
Sure.
would get on the scale every day and did not want to see that number waver from 143. He figured that number is not by accident, and each one of those numbers stands for something. In fact, the whole number together stands for I love you, because it takes one letter to say I, 4 letters to say love, and 3 letters to say you.
How about
and
that?
so every day when he would look down and see 1, 4, 3, he would begin to live out his life again.
That's cool.
With that theory of I love you being the very first thing. So, I don't know. I look down at the scale and I'm like, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
If you stick around long enough, this will all start to make sense.
It's Family Life Mornings with Steve, Terese, and Randy.
Auld Lang Syne is a tune you're probably going to hear tonight at one point or another, and you might even end up singing it. But it got me to thinking, where did this song come from and what are its roots and so forth? And I learned some things about this song that I didn't know, and probably you don't know either. First of all, the original tune is not the tune we use. So if you want to hear the original, Scottish folk singers will still sing it with the original tune. But it has worldwide appeal. It is used for different things than just New Year's. It was played at Pierre Trudeau's funeral, the former Canadian Prime Minister. In Japan, the music is played at department stores at closing time to remind shoppers
home, go
in a
home.
real nice way, get out, go. At one time, it was the national anthem of South Korea.
Get out.
And the name of the song basically means for the sake of old times.
How about that?
Yeah.
You get out of aisle 3. Aisle 3. You people in aisle 3, will you please leave? The store is
They'll
ready to close.
turn the speaker up a little louder in that aisle.
This is Family Life, a friend you can turn to.
Here's the bottom line of this one. If you are one, and there are many this time of, over the last month or so, have had a lot of fat and sugars in their diet.
Yeah.
And so they've had this study of animal models who did caffeine versus decaffeinated beverage. And the animal models who had the caffeine accumulated 22% less body fat than the animal models that had the decaf. So anyway, that's an interesting observation. 2 things jump out at me about this study. One, I didn't realize there were that many attractive animals. There are animal models now, apparently. That was the one thing that jumps out.
Right.
So, and then the other thing is, how do they make the little tiny coffee cups for the animal models? I mean, they're
Like for the mice and stuff?
yeah, they're real tiny. It's just there can't be that much caffeine in that.
Oh, my.
Music? Check. News? Check. Encouragement? Check. Yep, we're ready to start the day. Family Life Mornings.
Do you have a word of the year?
Oh, I know a lot of people do this.
This is a big thing, especially, in the church. You see people pick these great words, contentment, or, I was really struggling with, do I get a word?
Brandon,
do you have a word?
you have a word, Brandon, for the year?
Yeah, I was thinking on it, and I came to chosen.
Chosen.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good
See,
one.
I was wrestling between wait or patient because I
gotcha.
tend to rush things, But then I found this website that'll tell you your word of the year.
Oh,
and I
wait,
was like-
great, a website. Well, this is real deep.
So, it's Dayspring, and they ask you a few questions about God and your relationship with God and things like that, and then it spits out a word. And apparently, my word is bloom.
Bloom. Well, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
to bloom where
So
you
I was
are,
like-
wherever you are. That's good.
Right, and there's something
That's really
to
good.
that about contentment and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, did you find a
Shows
word,
it.
Steve?
Well, I'm a little old-fashioned. Instead of the app or the website, I love a dictionary. I love a good dictionary. A lot of them are in alphabetical order, and a lot. And so I'll choose I'll go right in the beginning. And at first it was AAA, but that's like an organization, and I don't, that wasn't good.
book.
So I went to my word will be now aardvark, because it was right after that. Now you might laugh, but if I have an aardvark who breaks down, I have AAA right there to help tow me out of my tough situation.
Well, hello there, sunshine. Welcome to Family Life Mornings with Steve, Terese, and Randy.
I don't know personally anyone who has an electric car or a hybrid. I know they exist
right.
and they're out there. I just don't know anybody. But now they've gone a step further. Have you ever been on a seaplane? I've been on a seaplane once in my life. They're fun.
No, that would scare
Yeah.
me.
Well, now there are all electric seaplanes. Yes, you plug them in I mean, this an actual commercial aircraft. I mean, a seaplane.
Wow.
That you plug it in, and it's been tested already for a 15-minute inaugural flight, and worked okay, and that's kind of exciting. I don't know. Again, I've never done anything like that, but have you ever had the embarrassment of, this thing doesn't work, I don't know what's it, and then you go like, oops, I forgot to plug it in, right? Have you ever done that with any appliance?
It was Crock-Pot's Thanksgiving 2 years ago.
Yeah, you'll never forget that.
Right.
So don't forget to plug in the airplane as well before you take off. Not a good idea.
You know we're friends because we're already on a first-name basis. It's Family Life Mornings with Steve, Terese, and Randy from Family Life, a friend you can turn to.
Here's a way to start a conversation today. This will get people going. If you're like curious and maybe you meet a stranger in the line of the grocery store and you say, hey, is this a new decade or is this the end of the old decade? Because the first year had to be like year one, right? That's the first year. Way
Right.
back. Year one. And how many years in a decade? 10. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so the first decade would be at 10. The second decade
No, it would be at 11.
start at 11. So you just bring that up to 20. So you bring this up to 2020. This should be the end of the current decade, and then 2021 should start the new decade. That'll start a conversation going.
It could start a fight on the internet.
Yeah, it could. Well, yeah,
It could start a headache in me. Is what,
could
you know,
start
I
that.
like when we just kept things simpler, you know?
Yes.
This is 2020.
yeah.
This is 2020. This is 2020. I'm Barbara Walters, and this is 2020. Welcome to 2020.
Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate that.
A fun way to start the day and nothing to embarrass you in front of the kids. Family Life Mornings.
Time for some extra credit. Don't you always like it when you get extra credit in class?
Please, please, please.
Okay, now when you get back to class, and a lot of people go back on Monday. This is especially for you kids who have an English class. And go to your English teacher and say, hey, can I get some extra credit if I stump you on something that you haven't heard of ever? You know, maybe, just as a fun thing.
Okay.
To see if the teacher plays along. Now, we've heard of like homonyms and antonyms and things like that. But
Synonyms, yeah.
have you ever heard of a contronym? I had never heard of a contronym. It's a real thing.
Contronym.
A contronym, it's a word that's actually opposite of itself. Let me give you a couple of examples. Left, not the direction left, but
Right.
left. Left can
Right.
either mean remaining or departed. It's
Right.
one word, left. Seed is another one. Seed can sometimes use seed a lawn, so you're adding seed. You can also seed a tomato, which is removing seeds.
Right.
Those are contronyms. So those are kind of cool things. Now, don't mess up your extra credit by saying, my mom and I made synonym rolls. There are two rolls that tasted exactly alike, but they smelled differently.
You'll always wake up on the right side of the bed when you start your day with Steve, Terese, and Randy on Family Life, a friend you can turn to.
Well, a lot of people start out the new year and say, I'd like to lose some weight this year, but they don't really have a plan. Like they don't have anything different that they're going to do. And the plan is kind of helpful if you want to see results. So sometimes when I stumble upon these unique ideas, I like to share them with you. Well, because they might just be crazy enough to work. Okay, this one guy says Post-it notes helped him lose a ton of weight.
They're a little chewy, aren't they?
I know, but high in fiber.
Right,
So,
right.
those little square notes. Here's what he did. Every time he had a craving, he would write it down. And so it was like ice cream, Post-it note, and he would stick it on the fridge. And it's like, cake, Post-it note right on the fridge. So at the end of the week, the fridge is covered with just all of these Post-it notes. And the deal is that he couldn't eat any of the foods until Saturday. Now, Saturday is a free-for-all day, and a lot of people do that when they're on a weight loss plan. Whatever you want to eat on Saturday, have anything. So he would wait until Saturday, and then he could have any of the foods on the Post-it notes. But he found that he didn't really want any of those foods come Saturday, that he felt good eating all week, healthy. And so by Saturday, he didn't really want the junk food. And so then he just throw the Post-it note all over again. So step one, get a really big pad of Post-it notes.
The morning time. It's God's time. Thanks for waking up with Family Life Mornings.